Hello and welcome to Sport Tonight. I'm Cecilia Omogbe.
To you wherever you are in the world watching us in London. I'm Austin Okonakwa and Cecilia. I see it's still about the ladies because the under
Is that right?
17 FIFA World Cup. I don't know, Cecilia, but I'm so pumped up for it that I'm just hoping that the Flamingos will give us something good to smile about.
They'll definitely do that because I know USA, yes, is the top not to crack. Well, when you look at under 17 level, USA, they are not as successful as they are at under 20 level and also at the senior level. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for that. Also on the show, we'll be talking about boxing, of course. We'll start off with that. We'll quickly just touch down on that Derek Chisora and, of course, Tyson Fury. We're going to be having a trilogy. Is this the fight people really wanted? Not really. They wanted Anthony Joshua and, of course, Tyson Fury. But right now, Tyson Fury is really excited. And look, Derek Chisora have decided to sign the dotted, cross the lines and everything. He's the one ready for the December 3rd fight that he has been anticipating. And also touch down on the National Sport Festival preparations going on in Delta State. Facilities not ready, but they're promising that by 18th of November, they will have everything all sorted out. And of course, touchdown Europa League, where Arsenal were able to beat PSV Eindhoven just by a lone goal earlier today. And of course, there's so much to talk about. The FIFA World Cup, the countdown is also on. So we'll be talking about the transparency and what is really going on, especially fans that are going there to go want to watch the games. Olympic Eagles, they're also in camp preparing for Tanzania this weekend. That will also get us talking, Austin. So much to talk about on tonight's show.
Busy, action-packed world of sports. Cecilia, in our world of sports, the action doesn't end, and I'm super excited, to be doing this with you on the show. Let's get on with Derek Chisora and Tyson Fury. You mentioned that that's not the sort of fight, a lot of boxing fans want to see, but hey, that's the fight that they're going to have. For Derek Chisora, pretty much a good one for him to have, a shot at, fighting Tyson Fury, but December the 3rd, that's where the fight has been confirmed to take place. There was a press conference today, to announce that at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And look, with Tyson Fury all day, every day, you expect vibes. With Derek Chisora, also the same thing. Remember, Cecilia, during the press conference for Joshua Usyk too, he bumped into my camera. He's always, he's a good guy, but it got back into it just when people thought that it was almost over for him. But what can he do against this guy, the Gypsy King, undisputed heavyweight champion that has turned the entire boxing world with his style and what he has as regards boxing quality? Easily you want to give this fight to Tyson Fury, but then again, what do I know, Cecilia? Cecilia, what do I know with heavyweight boxing where it takes just one punch and you're asking questions?
That's what it is. I think we're also anticipating another knockout because of what happened the last time. It's always been Tyson Fury all the way. But he has actually tagged this fight war. He said it's going to be war. And during the press conference that you mentioned, he also had to, take a kind of a jibe, so to speak, against those who feels they don't have enough, try to use the word now, enough, kind of, how do I put it? They don't have the liver, put that, the heart to really want to take up on him because nobody wants to fight him except Derek Chisora. Derek Chisora was more like the last person he felt okay. But we're still waiting for his fight and Alexandra Usyk. That is the unification bout they've been talking about. We'll see if that is going to happen. But we'll leave this Derek Chisora now and quickly go to Delta State, whereby, what is currently going on, especially concerning the National Sports Festival. And this is all about the inspection tour that was done earlier today. If you take a look at what is happening, the facilities and everything seems, well, maybe they're not ready. But the promises that they are giving, it shows they're saying, look, we are ready for this National Sport Festival. We ensure that whatever you're saying now, you won't say it when it's 18th of next month. Remember, Sport Festival is going to start on the 20th, and this is on the 28th of November, and today is 20th. So they said they will be ready for it. The governor of Delta State, Ifeanyi Okowa, was among other people were able to inspect the facilities at the Asaba Stadium. That's the Stephen Keshi Stadium. If you can see the pictures we're seeing from there, shows the facilities are not ready. But they talk about other facilities across Delta State that they will be using. Those ones are ready, the tennis court and some other facilities. They feel those ones will be ready for it. We'll just listen to the governor, and of course, we have a guest in the studio who also will be talking to much later, Bolu Omoni. Let's take a listen to Okowa talking about the readiness for Delta State to host the National Sports Festival.
I would just need to urge the contractors to move much faster than they are at the moment, because I'm worried, because there's a date to the festival already. But they've reassured me that by the 18th of November they will be out of the place, so I want to hold them to their word. So it's for me to expect that the committee, the local organizing committee, will do a near daily report on what they are doing and the progress, and follow through to ensure that they meet with time, because we cannot afford to move the sports festival further. Because as you move it there, you'll be moving it into the Christmas period, which is not a good time for travel. So I do hope, yes, the work being done is good, but the important thing is that we need to add speed to what they are doing. I'm told that they are working now morning and night, and I hope that gives results. But it's for the local organizing committee to put great pressure on them to ensure that their speed is good enough to take us through to the finishing of the entire project by the 18th of November. We're definitely expecting too that the flooding would have receded before then, the flood would have receded before then. In the next 1 week, we are expecting that the waters will start to recede, and they recede gradually. But in another 3 weeks, we are near certain, by God's grace, that the waters will have receded as much as possible. So there's no doubt that at the time the games will start, everywhere would have been dry. So we're not expecting any hitch from that at all.
Right, that's the Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa talking about the readiness and also the flood currently ravaging the southern part of Nigeria and also some parts of the north. He said it would not be affecting the sports festival because 3 weeks' time it would have rescinded and, of course, be able to host a national sports festival. Bolu Omoni is right here in the studio. Bolu, just a quick one in reaction to the national sports festival. You heard from Governor Okowa, talking about they will be ready. You've seen the facilities. I mean, what the pictures we just saw. You can say, oh, really, those pictures, yeah, are not really too good because facilities are not ready. But the assurance that they've given that the facilities will be ready is something we need to cherish about because they have this confidence in the constructors, those who are ensuring, those who are building the stadium, those who are, making sure that everything is okay. They feel, yes, they will be ready for the event. What do you think?
Well, Sissy, good to be here again. The worry is looking at the pictures, 38, 39 days away from the event. I understand the fears, I understand the worries because me, myself, looking at the videos and all, you keep asking yourself, you've had years to plan. You are not ready. Then what's to say you will be ready in 38, 39 days? First of all, I don't know who advised the timing of the sport festival for this year because I don't think you get enough traction when the FIFA World Cup is going on. So much more that ATP finals had to adjust the timing of their singles finals. It shows what the World Cup is about. It takes away every attention. Even Nigerian journalists, despite Nigeria not being at the World Cup, I don't think there will be many that will cover the sport festival. So the timing is one problem on this side. Then the facilities not being ready is another ball game entirely. I want to hold these words to it that it will be ready. But the truth is, if it's not ready, postponing it will probably even make it. He even confirmed that traveling in the festive period, it's more like something not what everybody wants to go into. So there are many questions to be asked. Then you ask yourself, we knew about the timing beforehand. Why did we choose this period? We knew about the planning beforehand. How come it's not ready and we've had this delay? And there are stories already about taking out the Paralympics away from the event, protests and everything. So
they've taken it out.
Too many questions to be asked. So why was it taken out? Why did they allow them to go so far that they go to protest? That stories that they want to bring in for. Too many questions around the sport festival. But the major question is, will the sport festival hold from the 28th of November? I think himself, the sport ministry, and everyone needs to answer that question.
Yeah, you've answered it for you. He said it will be ready. That's when talking about the Paralympics. I mean, the para-athletes. Austin, you have to chip in on this one. Yesterday I talked about the fact that, look, this is really not what everyone wanted, you know. But if you check earlier this year, in April precisely, they had the para athletes sports festival, you know, in April in Abuja. And before that, the ministry came out to say that, look, they created a department for the para-athletes, and this department will definitely be the ones that will be in charge of all para-athletes. So 16 sports, that was what they did in Abuja. It was 16 sports, 21 states. I think maybe they didn't take it seriously. They felt even if we will still have to take part in National Sport Festival, and we know the para-powerlifters, the para-table tennis, and the para-athletes are the ones usually have those three sports that usually compete at the National Sport Festival. So those three sports will not even be there. They made a decision. It was from the National Council of Sports, so it wasn't about the ministry, but National Council of Sports sat down. They had a meeting with the minister late yesterday, and of course they said, look, they would not be part of it. So no matter what they would do, the protest, despite the protest that was held. But Austin, for you, the calling, the sports festival, the fact that we'll not be having a para-athletes, everything, what do you think?
Well, the ministry, they've tried to explain it. You just mentioned that we had the para-athletes sports festival sometime, I think, last year, early this year. And it was good because we commended them for, you know, putting it together. It gave us more reasons to, you know, pay close attention to para sports in Nigeria. But when the news came out, first I got para-athletes calling me to say, oh, first thing first, they've taken off some sports from the National Sports Festival. Please, let's see how we can talk to the ministry. It's not fair. And then we heard no para sports. You know, so it just made it look like what's really going on. But these guys, I think that major fear is they don't get the sort of attention that they deserve. So they want to be part of what we are doing with the able-bodied, you know, athletes, because they just feel that we have not given the sort of attention we should give to para sports development in Nigeria. And that was a major reason why they had this protest, to say, no, look, at the time they were having this protest, they were protesting the sports that were not included for the National Sports Festival. They did not even know that there was not going to be para sports at all at the National Sports Festival. Then the sports taken off then was deaf sports, wheelchair tennis, para swimming, and wheelchair basketball. And I've covered wheelchair basketball in Nigeria for so many years before leaving, and wheelchair basketball was actually doing so well. So I started wondering, why is the ministry not considering that? And then now they took it off. Maybe this will make them give more attention to the para sports National Sports Festival when it comes up. Well, we'll wait to see. Let's go back to preparations for the National Sports Festival. You listen to the governor urging contractors to hurry up with the work. And that was what worried me, Cecilia and Bolu. You don't urge the contractors to speed up. You need to charge them to do a good job, you know, because we're talking about infrastructure, which is very, very important to any sporting event. But as it is now, even the governor have fears that they're going to, you know, meet up with the job. And so he's saying, look, they need to redouble their efforts to ensure that it is done. So we'll wait to see if Delta can actually meet up to that requirement for the National Sports Festival. We know that they need to do better, because Edo, to an extent, set a good standard at the last National Sports Festival. So Delta must find a way to, you know, do a better job than what we saw last year. Sports Tonight on Channels Television. Let's listen to the chairman of the Delta State Sports Commission, Atonobo Kukowa. He's also reacting to Delta's preparation for the National Sports Festival.
It's not about the state. Yesterday we had a Council of Sports meeting, and of course, you know that normally in Olympics and some other games, para is always handled differently from the able-bodied. What we have decided to do, or what the council has decided to do, is to separate it the way it is done everywhere. We're talking about like in the Olympics. After the Olympics, then come Paralympics. So that's exactly what they have decided to do. And then the sport that was not there, which is cricket, and you know we have a lot of states that are playing cricket, we decided to take that up. It was one of the optional sports, and somehow it was not part of it, but we decided to bring it in. So That's the situation. That's the exact situation. It's not what you probably might hear out there. This is the exact situation. And of course, we know that they've done the first edition of the Para Games sometime this year, and they're planning to do that either January or February.
Chairman Delta State Sports Commission Tonoba Okowa explaining why the para sports have been excluded from the National Sports Festival, and it's not saying anything different from what we talked about. They want to make it special. They want to give it a sort of attention that it deserves. And he quotes that we don't have the Olympics going, side by side with the Paralympics. But Bolu, the fear of the athletes is you do this National Sports Festival now and you abandon us. Do they have any reason to be worried?
I think I understand their fight, though. Like myself and Sisi were discussing off here. The Olympics, what they do is, Olympics come like a few weeks after the Paralympics follows. You are separating national sports festival like April to December. That's like 6-7 months apart. So probably they thought this is a different competition and will still be a part of the sports festival.
Yeah.
I think if you are bringing them together, you can do maybe a month before the National Sports Festival or a month after. So that way they know. In case, probably they need better explanation and all, instead of the unnecessary distractions and everything back and forth. I think the gap is just too wide. April to November is completely too wide. So for the next, obviously this one, there's nothing anybody can do about it.
Yes.
It's done, the planning is on. Even the process for the able bodies are not even ready yet. Then to now bring in the para athletes. So I think for the next editions, just break it down to them and put the competitions side by side. So that way you know that we are not abandoning you guys. So what we are just doing is we are separating the competition so we can have 1,000% attention. Truth is, many didn't even remember Oscar Pistorius around with the able bodies. People only remember him for his efforts in the Paralympic Games. So I think that's what they're trying to do, give them all the attention alone. But just bring the competition side by side, because if there's a huge point gap, month gap between them, people will probably not relate that it's the same competition, just hosting it side by side.
I think I completely agree with you, because if you bring it closer, then they will understand it. Yeah. And when the sports festival, the Para Sports Festival was held in April, I think maybe it wasn't, they were not told that, look, you guys, this is your own, so you won't be part of the one in November. So I think maybe they just assume that they will know, because I think if they do, they wouldn't have taken to the streets. The process wasn't just on Wednesday. I think there was a process on
Tuesday,
Monday. They've had the process, across. So it shows that they don't really understand. And because they feel the National Sports Festival, you have more money. I mean, there's always this prize money. There's always this prize money that's attached to it. When your state happens to win so many medals, so they promise them everything, and the coach, each athlete are given the same. But the fact that you now have a department for the para-athletes in the sports ministry, so obviously there will be a budget for it. I think all states should also take a cue from what the sports ministry have done and also create, a kind of a department for all the para-athletes and not part of it. So when they are preparing for their own festival, the hype, the fanfare that you have with the able-bodied guys, you also have it with the special athletes.
See, I say it all the time. As much as we bash out at the sport ministry, we bash out at the NFF and co, I think state FAs, state ministries, they need to sit up, they need to wake up as well, because everything always goes to the federal government, the sport ministry, sport minister, this, NFF, that. But what are the state commissioners, state FAs, what are they all doing in town? Because when you talk about grassroots cannot start from the top.
No, that's elite level. They take care of the
exactly.
Elite, so
they're taking care of sport festival. But for your own state athletes, what are you doing? I think it's time for everyone, for those that are still sleeping, it's time for them to wake up. If probably they had done their own work, we probably wouldn't have had the protests on the streets.
Okay. All right. Let's leave that and quickly talk about the FIFA World Cup. It's a month to go. I mean, Austin is a month to go. I mean, the show is about to kick off November 20th. Yes, that's when the FIFA World Cup is starting. 32 teams will be there. There is so much going on when it comes to the FIFA World Cup. 32 countries, and of course, 5 from Africa. And not just that, by Friday, they should be able to submit a preliminary list of about 35 players, maximum of 55, by Friday. And of course, you have injuries that have been there. But then the FIFA World Cup, the first that will be held in the Middle East, It's big, it's huge. So, Winter World Cup is just a month away. Are you excited?
Well, you have no choice. You must be excited. I had a conversation with some guys, and look, but Nigeria is not there. I say, well, luckily it's not the AFCON. Because if it's the AFCON and Nigeria is not there, the attention will be low. But it's the World Cup, you still need to sell the greatest players in the world and everything. So the vibe is getting closer. Despite all the distractions about it, well, Qatar, they are not meant to host. Winter is causing many injuries and everything. One thing is certain, when the World Cup starts, every other activity, either sports or not, will be on hold. I still tell people I'm a big fan of Game of Thrones, and I say it boldly. I think it was because of World Cup in 2018 they did not release Game of Thrones that year. If not, people wouldn't have been interested. That's how big the World Cup can be. I'm talking about billions of people watching games, especially the final. I think the last final had over 1 billion people watching only the final. That's how big the World Cup. Like I said earlier, they moved the timing for the singles of ATV final. So World Cup is the World Cup, with or without Nigeria.
Of course. That's what everyone is anticipating. We'll go on a short break. We'll be back after this. Welcome back. Of course, we talk about the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup. On Wednesday night, our Faith was supposed to join us, but she just couldn't. You know, the time difference, it was 2 a.m. their own time. But right now, she's awake, so she will be joining us this evening to talk to us how prepared the team really are. For the Under-17 years, they've won 2 games and lost only 1 to Germany. They were able to bounce back from that, winning 4-0 against New Zealand. And, of course, against Chile, it was at 2-1. And then they book a ticket to the quarterfinals where they will be facing USA. We talked about the fact that at this level, USA, yes, they're not a powerhouse, except on the 20 and, of course, at the senior level. But this level, yes, is developmental. The girls just want to enjoy. But what the Flamingos want to do at this World Cup is to try and break the genes that they've not been able to get into the semi-finals for the past 14 years. So Faith will be joining me all the way from Mumbai, India, to talk about this, how ready the team are. Faith, if you can hear me, how are you doing? Good evening.
Yeah, it's evening over there. It's morning here. Good morning.
Okay, it's morning. Good morning. So how excited are you? I mean, USA is going to be 12 noon Nigerian time on Wednesday. So we're going to be using Nigerian time right now. Your own time, what time will it be? 4 p.m. or thereabout?
4:30 p.m. over here.
Okay. So how are the team looking forward? How ready are the team for the USA?
Yeah, the girls are ready. They've put in a lot of hard work in training, and we expect them to replicate what they've done in training on the pitch later today. You know, the coaches have done a lot of work on them. Anybody that has been following the team will know that one of the greatest undoing of the team is their inability to convert their chances. And playing against a team like USA that they're very clinical, that you can't afford to be losing chances. They just have to be, the Flamingos players have to rise to the occasion. And rising to the occasion means that for every opportunity they get to score, they have to convert it, make it count. And that is how you show the stuff you're made of. And I believe in these girls with the kind of confidence they have in themselves and self-determination. They are going to cause an upset later today when the match kicks off.
I like that upset as well. But we know that the USA, they've scored 13 goals. They can score goals. And we saw the mistakes that the girls made against Germany, that they conceded that second goal. And, of course, they now lost 2-1. What's the coach doing in terms of defense? Because that's where they really need to nick the US. Because you just mentioned that, yes, they can score goals. But then at the back, what has he done to tidy up that so that they don't have that space to actually exploit the Flamingos?
Yeah, during training, the last training session they had before today's match, that was yesterday. I had the coach giving specific instructions to the defense that this line, don't cross this line. You're playing against players that are very fast on the wings. And so it has given them instruction that at every point in time, there's a certain line you don't cross, because if a team like USA catches you on counter-attack, it's going to be very, very horrible for us. So he has given them instruction, and I hope the defenders will keep to those instructions that there is a certain line you don't cross, and you should always mark the player you're marking. Anybody that watched Americans will know that they operate from the wings and they're very fast. So our players know what to expect tomorrow, later today. They just have to cut their wings and make sure that they don't allow them to operate freely. And that is what Flamingos will be doing later today.
Interesting.
Faith, good to have you join us on the show. Let's talk about the mood of the team. Do they understand this mission? How charged up are they to, confront the United States of America later today in your time?
Yeah, when they lost that match against Germany, these girls were in tears. They were crying. It was as if they're out of the World Cup. And they had a meeting within themselves and said that will be the last match they're going to lose in this competition. So the girls are determined to go far. If not for anything, they always say they want to make a name for themselves. And making a name for themselves is going far in the World Cup. If tomorrow Flamingos wins the World Cup, it will be written that so player was among the squad that won the World Cup for Nigeria, and that is the name they want to make for themselves. So they know that they are up against a very good side, and they're ready to give it a fight. They are determined. They don't want to lose focus. They said that USA is just a name, just like Nigeria is a name. So they are going there to fight hard to defend the flag of Nigeria later today.
Let's talk about the technical crew and their quality, particularly the ability to read matches and, of course, their opponents, because that's what I thought we lacked against Germany. I know Coach Bankole so well. What sort of approach is he giving this match? What is he saying to the girls? What are they planning on doing differently?
Yeah, we know that our problem in this team has always been our midfield. Sometimes they lack concentration in the midfield. And if we want to win today's match, we want to make sure that we have more of the balls. Coach Bankole, like you said, is somebody that likes his players playing the ball on the ground. He doesn't like long balls. So we wouldn't want the Americans to dictate our play today. That is what he has told them, that they should be in charge. And the battle will always, this is a match we think the battle will be won in the midfield. So if our midfielders can hold onto the ball, frustrate the Americans, why not? We can always get the result against them.
Faith, thank you so much for your time. Go get some sleep. Want to wish you and the team all the best. Tell them we love them. Whatever happens tomorrow or today, we love them and want to wish them all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I know she had to say that they are winning. Okay, we'll stay with that. Wish them all the best. So that's it. It's the United States of Nigeria and the United States of America. Flamingos of Nigeria and the FIFA Under-17 World Cup. Bolu, I was trying to check the country's name. Bolu, what are you expecting tomorrow?
Well, Cecilia said something earlier that US are not the powerhouse at this stage. I think people need to calm down. This is not the USWNT. That's the US national women's national team. This team are not that good. They don't even have a good history in this tournament. In fact, the only time they got to the semi-final was in the first edition in 2008, where they finished second. Since then, they missed some editions. Some they've not even gone past the group stages. Minus the first edition, Nigeria has probably even had a better run at this tournament than they are. So I think the girls know what to do. Sometimes it's good losing the first game. You know you are not there yet. Some person said, well, USA beats an African team 4-0. I said Nigeria beat a North African team 4-0. It's what you about to say 2-4. So I think the girls know what it like. Faith said they are ready, they are pumped up, they know what it means. Some of them, we've seen Nigerian girls at this stage, the likes of Ayila and especially Ngozi Okobi. Yeah. She was also here, got to at this kind of tournament, scored good goals. Then she's probably one of the best players we have in the Falcons now. So this tournament, this game especially can be the career changing for some of these girls. If they get to the semi-final, first ever for Nigeria, who knows, from semi-final in football, anything can happen.
Semi-finals, anything can happen. See what's going to happen Friday, 12 noon. That's when Nigeria will be facing USA. Okay, we're leaving this in quickly. A touchdown on the FIFA World Cup. It's ticking. Yes, the clock is ticking. It's a month to go. Now, today we will be talking about Group G. You know how Group G is looking like. That's where you have Brazil, you have Serbia, you have Switzerland, and of course you have one of African representatives, Cameroon. So these are the teams that we have in Group G. You got Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon. So we'll quickly start with Brazil. Of course, when it comes to the World Cup, yes, they are always a favorite. But the thing about this Brazilian team, Bolu, is the fact that, like, from every department you see, I mean, they are good. When you say they are good, I mean, this is a generation that if they don't win this, then they would have underachieved. If they don't win it, because, I mean, you can't start from Rodrigo, Vinicius Jr., Neymar, of course. Yeah, you don't even mention Neymar anymore because of the talent that they have right now.
Especially going forward, they don't just have talent. They have more. They don't just even have much more than enough. Like you've mentioned two of them. There's Richarlison somewhere. They have more. Even the Antonio of Man United, in case people don't know, he's also Brazilian. Lots of talent going forward. In the midfield, they have some of the best defensive midfielders in the world, including attacking midfield, even though some will tell you Fred is not Brazilian. Central defenders, there's Marquinhos, like you said, the legendary Thiago Silva is also a member of that squad. In terms of fullback, everything is ready for Brazil. I don't think there are many favorites. Argentina on a brilliant run of unbeaten form, but I think Brazil had to be the #1 in terms of favorites for winning this World Cup. And the way they went through the qualifiers without stress, they qualified way beyond for anybody. So it will be difficult to see beyond them. Yes, when tournament kicks off, group stages here, you separate the men from the boys. From the knockout round, you start knowing, okay, having semblance. But this Brazil team, it will be difficult to see beyond them. Goals, when you hear goals are plenty. It's this Brazil national team.
Okay, I mean, especially with them winning 14 games and drawing 3, they did not lose anyone in the qualifiers. Of course, they were the winners in the CONMEBOL, talking about qualifications. So from Brazil, quickly touch down on Switzerland. Switzerland happens to be another country that will also be at the FIFA World Cup. Yes, they are not a powerhouse when it comes to football, but then when you have some players that can actually hold their own, I mean, remember how they beat Bulgaria in qualification? That's at home. I mean, that shows how they got that automatic sports qualification, usually that you don't see, when it comes to a team like Switzerland. But this time around, they are really ready and set to go. Yes, there's Emmanuel Akonji, yes. Zidane Jagiri is also there. That's another player you look at. Yes, he's not as young as he was, at the last World Cup. But when you take a look at this team, Austin, you see Switzerland might just be another team that you wouldn't really want to say, okay, they're just coming to participate. Switzerland might just be a team that Brazilians need to really be wary of, because when you have a compact team, you can't really pick a superstar from it. It's always hard to beat a team like that.
Yeah, if you want a proper definition of an underdog team, then Switzerland, is appropriate. You're trying to call some of the players that they have, and you could tell that these are players that, if you go to their club sides, the team don't file out without some of them. Shaqiri's quality, we can't question it. Granit Xhaka is having good football now with us now. You mentioned Manuel Akonji, there's Ricardo Rodriguez. It's an endless list of these players. And at the World Cup, it's a different feel. I always say it, It just takes a bad draw and anything can happen in a group, So we love what is happening with Brazil, but it takes just one bad draw and it might just spoil their campaign. And teams such as Switzerland, a potential, banana skin that you have to avoid. Not just Switzerland, Serbia. That Group G is very tricky. There's also Cameroon. If there's any team that I can stand and say I'm expecting to do something at this World Cup for Africa, is the indomitable Lions of Cameroon, because this is a team that they had one mission, and it is qualify for the World Cup, and they did it in style, and that's all you need to get motivated. And they have Samuel Lutu telling them, look, we need to do better than what we've done at the World Cup. So yes, you take out Brazil because they are Brazil, but you cannot look at Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon and say what's going to happen in that group. And any of those three teams I just mentioned can give Brazil a bad draw on a very bad day.
Yeah, and if you take a look at what you talked about, the Cameroonians, I mean, they're making an appearance. This is their 7th appearance. The last time was Brazil 2014. They were there in 2018. As Austin mentioned, they had just one job to do. That was qualify. And, of course, see what they did to Algeria. The way it goes, aggregate 2-2. At the end of the day, they got a ticket. Now, the Cameroonians, yes, they are indomitable. But what are their chances at this World Cup? Because, I mean, Austin said it's one of the countries that he feels that we'll have to look at.
Well, looking at Africa's chances, I'm not as optimistic as Austin is. Looking at this group, Serbia qualified their first in the group that had Portugal. Switzerland qualified top in the group that had Italy. Those guys are not here to play. Although Cameroon, unlike our Ghanaian brothers, they are well prepared for this tournament. Like Austin rightly said, you can't take away the fact that they needed to go to Algeria to qualify. Remember, they lost at home in the first leg. People were like, they are down and out. Losing at home, going to North Africa, forget it. And they went there to do the unthinkable to qualify. So, if you are expecting good football, counter Cameroon. If you're expecting tiki-taka, counter Cameroon. But if you're expecting a team that, if we say our chance, we take it. That's what, look at the AFCON, that's what they did all through. They were, even the opening match, they were not the best in terms of ball possession and all, but they did one thing, score. And I tell people the only way to play football is to score. Irrespective of your possession and whatever, if you don't get to score goals, people will not remember how you play. They'll remember how you win. And that's one thing Cameroon, I believe, can do to both Serbia and Switzerland. But again, like he rightly said, Brazil, we've had Brazilian team, almost every tournament, Brazil always have great squads. Then one result can just go against them and that's game over. Remember, even at home, losing by 7 goals to Germany, that's not what any...
Nightmare.
If you ask any Brazilian if they've hosted World Cup recently, I'm sure they will try to erase that 2014 because it was a bad day in the office for them. So any result, the first game is always very, very important. Your opening match, and I think the opening match for Cameroon will be Switzerland. If they try and pick up a victory or a point in that game, it could turn the entire tournament around for them.
Okay, turning it around, we'll leave the FIFA World Cup and go to the Olympic Eagles, the under-23 national team. They are currently in camp preparing for the game against Tanzania that will be happening this weekend. Just yesterday, they played a friendly against Shooting Stars of Ibadan, and that game ended 1-1. The minister was actually there to see the boys and cheer them on. But then we have the squad that will be going to Dar es Salaam this weekend, 29th of October. That's when they will be playing that game. We'll start from the goalkeepers. Yes, where you have Nathaniel Wonsu and John Ama. These are the goalkeepers. For the defenders, you have Daniel Bameyi, Christopher Wenze, Isaiah AJ, Dominion Ohaka, Evan Ogoda, Michael Inafe. Midfielders, you have Olashile Akineron, Ibrahim Awalu, Kudus Akoni, Oluwatimei Oguniyi, and of course Oluwapelumi and Adeyemo. So these are the defenders. Of course, for the forwards, you have Daniel Watai, Edidiong Ezekiel, Munai Idris, Success Makonjola, and Promise David. These are the players that will be representing Nigeria against Tanzania. Just a quick one on this, Austin. I mean, we've seen the squad that will be facing Tanzania. We know the Olympics, we didn't qualify for the last one, and it was as if we didn't go to the Olympics because the football teams were not there. But this time around, they're doing everything possible to see how they can qualify for Paris 2024. And of course, the journey is already started.
Yeah, and I just want to charge the ministry and the NFF. Yeah, shout out to the minister for, you know, turning up right there in Oyo State to support the team. We need to find a special program for the Olympic Eagles because the Olympics is once in every year and the calendar is a bit distorted for preparation. So you find out that we're always having the fire brigade stuff. So maybe they need to have like a staggered, you know, arrangement where you get in players who you think can break in while you monitor those ones who you know can make the main team, you know, so that they can achieve some level of blend and at least play some good football together before they play their main game. So at this level too, it's Tanzania. So we'll just say she shouldn't bother Nigeria, but that's what we're saying until we didn't qualify for the last one. So it buttresses the point that preparation is very, very important. So we'll just wish the team all the best because you can tell that we are just using our name to go and play this one. Yes. Nigeria versus Tanzania. But who should win? Who do you expect to win?
We shouldn't even discuss it normally. Naturally, we shouldn't. But what we've been through in recent years, in terms of, especially the women for the Olympics, we need to think about it. Like you rightly said, we need to intentionally plan towards it. That's where, I like the NFF has set up a committee, a 3-man for underage games, because there has to be growth and consistency from the future Eagles to under 17 to under 20. Then what next? If you are good enough to break the Super Eagles, all well and good. But if you are not there yet, because even the Super Eagles now, they are young boys in the squad. So there's nothing wrong moving to the under-23. You know, we should have under-23 team and people are like, hey, this is a dream team. If you remember, people don't even say dream team anymore. Because I think the dream is not even there yet. So hopefully they do the good job against Tanzania.
Hopefully they can do that. It's this weekend, and the return leg will be 29th in Ibadan, Lagos Salami Stadium. So over there, just win 1-0 and come back and finish the job. That'll be easy for the under-23 team. We used to have dream team, but not anymore. Okay, before we leave the show, quickly talk about Cristiano Ronaldo. Yes, the whole talk about him. Well, watching the game, yes, I watched most of the game where, he had to leave. And, of course, the coach said, yeah, we're going to talk to him. But the club released a statement this evening saying that, look, he's been dropped from the squad against Chelsea, and that is for disciplinary measure. They didn't like what he did with the team. Your team, you're winning 2-0. You're supposed to go and celebrate with them. But this dude, I mean, when he checked the time, okay, 4 minutes extra time. I'm not sure I'm playing this game anymore. Let me just go home. And he went to the dressing room. They got to the dressing room. He wasn't even there. I mean, changed, and of course, he went maybe home. But then he left the stadium. So the coach obviously wasn't happy. So the more like the way they played against another North London club. Remember what they did to Arsenal? The way what they did against Tottenham Hotspur should have been the topic for the day. But Ronaldo's antics, so to speak, whatever he did at the stadium at Old Trafford, that was now the story. No one is talking about the performance of the team anymore. The story is all about Cristiano Ronaldo. He loves making the headlines.
If you ask anyone that was the result, I think people would think again, okay, yes, okay, yeah. But I tell people I love Ronaldo, and I don't like so many situations around. I didn't like that you were not going to play him. You didn't let him go in the summer and everything. But I think what happened yesterday was very silly. There was a preseason game where the same thing happened. But some United people were trying to defend that. They were running from traffic. And like, traffic in London, how does that affect Manchester? But yesterday's one was very clear. It was very. I said the only excuse he could have had yesterday was, okay, he needed to go to the toilet. I was trying to believe he didn't actually leave. Walking out in the 89th minute. Yes, you can be sending the message, but you can have different ways of doing it. I like that United are making a stand, and it's good that even the club are supporting the manager. Now they've said initially it was train alone. Now you are not even training. Go and train with under 23. You may be a big boy. It's probably the biggest thing in Manchester United right now. But the truth is, a soldier can't be bigger than the barrack, because they're still the one paying you. They're still the one to an extent feeding you. So I think I like that the club are making a stand, but they just have to find a way to sort these things out. If the relationship is not working anymore, come winter transfer in January, just let it go. I think the moral lesson from this is, don't pick up the call of your ex-father. Because if you had not picked Alex Ferguson's call, maybe you will not be at Manchester United today.
Austin, on this one, I mean, it's really quite sad, when you hear something like this happening to a player. I mean, Ronaldo is so big. I mean, right now, Messi, Ronaldo, yes, they're in the same class, the biggest players. Messi, of course, he doesn't throw tantrums the way Ronaldo has been throwing in. He didn't get anyone to get him in summer. I think that's why he didn't. He would have left. He didn't get a club he needed. He wanted to play in the Champions League. He didn't get the opportunity to stay back at United. Now you have 3 weeks to the World Cup. So United will know how to manage Ronaldo before the World Cup, because obviously after the World Cup in January, this guy is likely to leave. And if he leaves or if he stays, what kind of effect is it going to have on the club itself?
Okay, let's just set the record straight. The news we're having right here in England is that this disciplinary measure is because he refused to come on as a substitute in that game against Tottenham. Now, if that's the club's stance, then Ronaldo deserves whatever disciplinary measure that Manchester United will give to him. If it was for walking out of the stadium 2 minutes to the end of the game, I think he would have good reasons, to say, because he is human. We don't know what he was promised by the club that made him stay. We don't know the agreements in the background. But for refusing to come on as a substitute, if they've said you're going to come on as a substitute, even in the 90th minute, the coach decides to bring you in, you must be available, because you're playing with a team and you are Cristiano Ronaldo. So that's a low for him. But I'm saying the other side now. If he wasn't to come as a substitute, I've always said that the easiest excuse would have been, I needed to go use the gents. So I walked away, and I know we won. I needed to rush home for an emergency. That's an excuse. But for refusing to come on as a substitute, it's so low. So whatever happens. Well, it's Cristiano Ronaldo. Let's cut him some slack. He's a top player.
So Austin, you're leaving the show right now.
Yeah. Sadly, this is how you want me to end the show. It's okay. That's the show. In London, I'm Austin Okonakwan, and everything you do, remember, keep talking sports. Bye for now.
Yeah, Bolu, thank you so much for coming on the program.
It's always a pleasure being around.
Thank you so much for watching. I'm Cecilia Mogbe. Good night.